Hi everyone. Let's start by talking this week about scales. Scales are essentially stepwise notes that start on one letter and end on that same letter one octave higher. So the C scale, for instance, starts on C and plays steps along the way all the way up to C. Now we've been doing a partial C scale already with our 5-finger exercise. But now we're going to add these last two notes, A, B, and C. Now, that's the same for the left hand, of course. Here's C, and we're going to go all the way up to the next C. The way to play scales, and the reason we familiarize ourselves with scales, is we play the scales up and down like an exercise. So we're going to move everything we were doing on 5-finger exercise now to scales. I'm going to show you here how we move our hand as well in constructing the scale. So this is another reason why we want to get away from the 5-finger exercise and start doing everything with scales, because we really want to move our hands around a little bit. The C scale is essentially the C major scale, I should clarify, because there are a few different versions of C scales, but we're really going to deal with major scales. Are all the white keys. Those are natural notes. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And with any scale, what goes up must come down. So hit it and quit it. Don't double play the high note. The way the scale works, and look in our blackboard at the next item and you'll see that I've posted how the scale is constructed and what fingering pattern to use. But essentially in the right hand, we're going 1, 2, 3, and then we're moving our hand over to F position to complete the scale, and then we're moving back into C position. Remember, the position is always based on where your thumb is. So if I'm in C position to start, and then I move to F position to go all the way up to C and back down, okay? The trick, of course, is doing this at the same time with the left hand, because the left hand actually switches in a different place. All the way up to G, just like the 5-finger exercise, then over to A, B, C. Back down, then thumb under. Okay? The best way to practice putting these two together is to really take your time, right? Get your metronome working, take your time. Think about changing the rhythm for each note, each scale degree. So for instance, in this particular version, I'm going to play 2 half notes on each degree of the scale, giving myself some time to think ahead. So like this, and you can play along with me, of course. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Now here comes my right hand switching, but my left hand doesn't. 4, 1, 2. Now my left hand's coming over. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And of course I hit it and I quit it. I come right back down the scale. 1, 2, 3. Now my left hand goes. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Now my right hand. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And now they end on C. 3, 4, off on 1. Okay, always off on 1. So just to make it more interesting, mix in different rhythms. Try what I just did, 2 half notes, or make it 4 quarter notes, or do 2 quarter notes, a rest in a quarter note like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and so forth, right? Or change it up to a half note and 2 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, right? And so forth. Just to keep your mind into it, because scales, after all, are exercises and can get a bit boring otherwise. And you want to challenge your mind and your focus by changing up the rhythm a little bit. Also, you could vary articulation. Let's do 4 quarter notes now, and I'm going to do 2 legatos and 2 staccatos. and so forth, okay? So that's an introduction to scales, on the C scale, and how we actually practice it. Again, look at the fingering pattern on our module for the week, and I've posted a couple other videos to kind of reinforce this practice. I do want to talk one more moment though about the actual construction of scales, because on a piano we want to think about things as half steps and whole steps. A half step is from one key to the very next key up or down, okay? So C, of course, the very next key up is a black key, which is actually called C sharp or D flat. We'll learn about that more next week. But if I go one half step down, there is no black key here, so it automatically goes to B, okay? It's the very next step. So a half step is like this. A whole step is 2 half steps. So from C to D is actually a whole step, not a half step. So if I want a whole step down, I gotta go one, here's my starting note, half step, another half step, and there's my whole step, okay? So a scale is constructed, let's look at the C major scale now, is constructed by a series of whole steps and half steps. And it's like this. The formula for a major scale is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Once again, let me say that. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Okay? And you know that whatever note you start on, you must end on. So if I start with C, and I go whole step, half step, then whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Okay, and that's how I get my C major scale. Now you might want to play that back again just to go over it. Again, you'll also see something posted in the Blackboard module about this so that you can think a little bit more theoretically about what actually makes a major scale. And just in short, there are 12 different major scales. We are going to aim to learn 4 or 5 of them. Okay, so happy practicing on scales.